Hi, everybody. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Michelle Joy. Michelle is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's a certified Enneagram practitioner and the founder for Enneagram for Couples. She helps individuals and couples recognize the hidden patterns that shape their relationships and create deeper, healthier connections. At this year's Enneagram Las Vegas Community Gathering, she'll be sharing how scripts, projections, and withholding affection influence the way that we relate to the people that we love. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. As a therapist, you have spent years helping people better understand themselves and their relationships. Why do you think so many of us unintentionally repeat the same patterns in our relationships?
Yeah, it's a great question because sometimes we think, well, we know intellectually what to do and what not to do. Why does this keep happening, right? I think most of us believe we're responding to the present moment when we're in a relationship, but we're actually responding to a lifetime of experiences that have shaped, how we've learned to find love, safety, belonging, significance, things like that. So the strategies that made sense at one point in our lives helped us adapt, but the problem is they become automatic and we don't even know that we're doing it. So we began bringing them into every relationship without even realizing it in the moment when it's happening. You know, the Enneagram just gives us a language for understanding those automatic patterns. It shows us, for example, how each type developed a particular way of navigating relationships and protecting themselves from pain. The challenge, though, is that when those strategies become a habit, and then we stop seeing our partner clearly. And sometimes we stop seeing ourselves clearly. I call that losing myself and losing my partner. And we begin reacting to what we expect, what we perceive, what we think is actually happening, what we fear, rather than what is actually going on. So, one of the most helpful things I've learned about working with couples is that people don't usually keep repeating patterns because they don't want to change necessarily. It's often that they don't even know that it's happening. Like, that's the first place to start. But I think once those patterns can become visible and we can go deeper, then we have choices that we didn't even know were there.
So it's really having that awareness, like you were saying, like it's how it's so unintentional. We're not doing it on purpose. We don't even realize that we're doing it. So you help couples bring that kind of awareness to light.
Yeah, and this happens even if we are very well aware of our Enneagram type and we're very well versed in our partners. Like, that intellectual understanding is necessary, but it only goes so far. We're still going to repeat these habits and these patterns that are not productive anyway. So we have to take it a step further.
So the title of your workshop includes three intriguing ideas: scripts, projections, and withholding affection. Could you give us a brief glimpse into what those are and why they're so important in our relationships?
Yeah, I just thought it had such a nice ring to it too, but they happen to go in order, in sequential order as well. So these were some common dynamics that I see in working with couples, and they often happen completely outside of our awareness, like all
Hmm.
three of them together. So I'll start with projection. Projection is when we unknowingly assign meaning to our partner's words or behavior, and we declare that it's accurate. And it's often based on our own fears or through the lens of our Enneagram type, but we'll hear what they're saying or we'll watch what they're doing and then we'll declare, here's what that meant. Here's the interpretation. Here's the meaning I'm giving it. And we just run with it. We don't even know we're projecting. So it doesn't even occur to us to ask, hey, is this actually what you meant by that or not? And it's often filtered through our type lens. So then we assume that we know what they're thinking or feeling, and we respond to that instead of responding to like what the actual truth is. Now, projections happen all the time. And gradually, as they keep happening over time, then it creates what I call relational scripts. Every Enneagram type carries a script. And individually, we carry scripts that were there long before we chose our partner. But what's less often talked about is that we can then assign a script to our partner in terms of them playing a part in our emotional world, kind of acts out what's going on inside of our type's agenda. And depending on our type, we might expect them or cast them into a script, as I like to say, to reassure us or admire us or need us or not need us or whatever it is, depending on our type. But our partner then learns over time what version of themselves is going to receive warmth from us and what version might receive distance from us, even though we've never had that kind of conversation. Now, if we talk about a relational script, what does that look like? I'll give an example of a type 3. So I was sitting with a 3 and his partner, and he had decided he was gonna work on some things that she had been saying, "Hey, I need you to, work on some things," and he agreed. It was a good idea. So after a couple weeks in our session, he turned to her and said, "How am I doing? on the surface, what's wrong with that, right? He's checking in. That didn't land well with her because she said, it feels like you're asking me for a report card or how you're performing rather than, hey, I care about us. I care about you. I care about how this has been landing with you. How is it feeling to you? Which is very different, right? But it's subtle. It's very subtle.
Mhm.
But that's an example of, could be, of casting our partner into a script through the three lens of, let me know I'm performing well here, right? It's subtle.
Yeah.
So projections create that kind of misunderstanding. Fours,
Mhm.
I'll give you one more example. Fours could be casting our partner into a script of, be my mirror. Sometimes I hear partners of a four like, oh my gosh, I'm always holding up a mirror and I can't ever seem to get it accurate. I can't seem to reflect back accurately what the four is really thinking or feeling. I feel like I'm always failing at this.
Mhm.
So projections create a misunderstanding, and then repeating the projections creates a relational script. Now, when that script isn't fulfilled, we can begin to withhold affection. And this is part three. So
Mhm.
rather than directly expressing our disappointment, because sometimes we don't even realize what we're disappointed about, we might protest through shutting down or distance or lashing out sometimes. But, withholding affection, I say we might become quieter, less engaged. We might become emotionally unavailable. We might pull back. And the specific trigger differs depending on type. When these unconscious needs go unmet, then we might withdraw the connection that we're actually hoping to receive from our partner.
Oh, yeah. That is so fascinating. That completely makes sense how all of that can happen at once. What's one realization that you hope people have about themselves during this workshop?
I hope that maybe people realize that most of relationship struggles aren't just about communicating or finding the right words, even though that's helpful for sure. But it's about realizing what are the invisible patterns that are going on between two people at any given time. And also, I know you said one, but also just through talking about all of this, I mean, I'm a couples therapist, so I see a lot of what goes wrong in relationships, and that's what I talk about. But I also hope that people can feel self-compassion too.
Mhm.
These patterns that I'm going to be talking about didn't develop because something's wrong with us. It's what we learn to survive, to adapt to our early environment. And they're really intelligent solutions actually. So I hope that we can cultivate not only self compassion, but also compassion for our partner too. Like if you notice you're doing some of the things that I talk about, you notice your partner's doing some of the things that we're talking about, it's not to point fingers. It's not to bring shame on anybody. It's not to say something's wrong with your relationship. It's actually to normalize it and also to maybe feel empathy, compassion, understanding rather than like, we're not trying to do this to each other. These are just natural human conditions that we all have to learn how to manage in relationships.
That's amazing. After years of working with couples, what's one truth about healthy relationships that you wish more people understood? You kind of just said a little bit about that. Is there anything that you would add?
Yeah, just that again, healthy relationships, it's more than communicating. It's like learning how to stay connected with another person while respecting that we're fundamentally different. If I come upon a difference, we usually have one of two ways of responding. It's like a gravitational pull that is
Mhm.
not helpful. How can I choose a third option, which is to stay present and connected with my partner in the face of a difference?
If someone's considering attending your session in September, what do you hope that they'll walk away understanding differently, not just about their relationships, but about themselves?
I'm going to come back to compassion again,
Mhm.
freedom, understanding that there's choice,
Mhm.
that they recognize, if they recognize themselves in the script, maybe it's like they're invisible scripts that we've been living from. I think sometimes in a relationship, it's very easy to see what another person is doing, but it can be a blind spot in terms of what am I contributing here? So maybe the scripts could be enlightening, maybe peeling back a layer of insight. Yeah, so I think once we see the pattern, we don't have to be controlled by it. It brings more choices. So maybe they can walk away with seeing the people differently in their lives, but also themselves.
I'm personally very excited about your session coming up in September, and we're so happy to have you back again.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about what Michelle teaches, she's fantastic. I encourage you to come to our Enneagram community gathering happening September 11th and 12th at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. If you would like to register, please visit our website, www.enneagramlasvegas.com. We hope to see you there. And thank you so much, Michelle, for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.